How's everybody doing today? Has the coffee kicked in? All right, well, recently I had an opportunity to take a backpacking trip in Yellowstone National Park. It was a 7-day backpacking trip, and with that comes a tremendous amount of planning and also a tremendous amount of anticipation. Now, the anticipation that you're hoping for when you go on a vacation is that of excitement and wonder. But the anticipation that I was starting to feel had elements of dread. And that's because I have a deep and rooted fear of bears. Now, to illustrate the depth of this fear, my parents like to tell a story from when I was about 5 years old, and we were traveling in our family car over the Blues Mountain Pass. They were in the front seat discussing whether or not there were bears in the Blues Mountains. Little did they know, I had curled myself up in a ball and was trying to wedge myself underneath the passenger seat, so when they turned around, I disappeared. At the mere mention of bears, I wanted to crawl away and disappear. So 2 years ago, when we started planning this trip, it seemed like a great idea. My partner had shared with me all the wonders of Yellowstone's backcountry, its beautiful waterfalls, amazing trails, and vistas. But as the trip became closer and closer, the fear started to creep in, and I knew that I needed to get a grip or else just cancel the trip. Now, I didn't cancel the trip because of something that I learned in my 20s when I had a lot of opportunities to travel around the world. Before every trip, well-intentioned advice givers with cautionary tales rooted in fear had a lot to share with me. You know, you can get caught in the crossfire of drug dealers in Mexico. Everyone gets sick in India. They're pirates near Thailand. Cambodia has malaria, chikungunya, and Japanese encephalitis. And Paris is surely due for another terrorist attack. But the blissful ignorance of youth did not deter me from going on these travels. And they quickly validated that these were exaggerated, often ridiculous claims. If I'd let these people's warnings prevent me from going, I would have missed out on so many life-changing, amazing experiences. So what I learned from this, and the resulting mantra that I created for myself, was to not make decisions rooted in fear. So it's easy to say, but oftentimes as I'm making a decision, if I'm able to detect some element of fear that's influencing that, I try and remove it from the equation. So this is why I knew I was going on that backpacking trip. So I just needed to figure out how to mentally get game. And it was about this time that I remember something that my mom told me when I was a kid. And you may know this as the Serenity Prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I was going into the backcountry. There would be many aspects of the experience that I could not change. We may have 0 bear encounters or 10. Sure-footed river fords or falls, beautiful weather or lightning. We could change the things we could with careful preparation and precaution, and by how we reacted to things when they did happen. But the word that stuck out from me from this prayer is the word wisdom, the wisdom to know the difference. Wisdom is the soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. When we first planned this Yellowstone trip, I did not know that bears were more fearful of humans than we are of them. I did not know how to contain your food sense to the food bag, which you hang well away from where you are, where you're sleeping at night. I did not know that when you hike in bear country, you make all sorts of noise so you don't surprise a bear, even if you sound ridiculous on the trail. And I did not know that if you do surprise a bear, you never, ever run. I did not have the experience, knowledge, and good judgment to mitigate the fear that I was feeling about the trip. Turns out, wisdom is an evolution. My previous wisdom had told me to stay away from Yellowstone and anywhere where there were bears. But my evolved wisdom had dozens of tips and procedures to deal with being in bear country. Now, this wisdom is my own individual wisdom. How about that conventional wisdom or that collective wisdom that we all share? All these things that we know or once knew. At one time, everybody knew, for example, that the world is flat. At one time, women are too delicate to operate machinery, even a typewriter. If you cross your eyes, they'll stay that way. No swimming while on your period. And how about this last one? A woman's place is in the home. Imagine if we'd accepted these pieces of wisdom and not challenged them. Where would we be today? So back to this. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So it's not just about the wisdom to know the difference, but it's the wisdom to challenge our wisdom, both our own wisdom and our collective wisdom. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, I'm just going to go back here. What does any of this have to do with innovation? That's what I'm here to talk about. So stay with me, I'm getting there. Have any of you ever heard the term punctuated equilibrium? It's a theory in evolutionary biology. Punctuated equilibrium is the hypothesis in evolution that evolutionary development is marked by isolated episodes of rapid speciation between long periods of little or no change. Okay, so let's use real English here. What this means is that although many of us think of evolution as this long, slow-moving process where slight changes are continuously made, in reality, it's typically long periods of stasis, or no change, followed by rapid change that creates the evolution. So basically, under this theory, nothing happens for a really long time, and then changes are made relatively quickly, and then nothing happens again. So back to the question, what does this have to do with innovation? Well, to innovate is to make changes in something established, especially by introducing new methods, ideas, or products. If you think about it, innovation and that challenging of conventional wisdom act as catalysts to push things past stasis. Innovation challenges the status quo and says, we can do better. Now, there are so many amazing examples of innovation. In June of this year, patent number 10 million was issued in the United States. And each and every one of these patents has an innovation story. And I love stories about innovation, especially when they involve women. So I'm going to share 3 of my favorites with you. We'll start with Mary Phelps Jacob. Let's rewind time a bit. It's the early part of the 20th century. Women's undergarments are torturous and awkward to the wearer. Imagine putting on an excruciatingly tight vest, stiffened with whalebones and steel rods, a little bit like this, that hold your torso in an upright, unnatural position. I mean, this woman looks like she's in pain. Enter Mary Phelps Jacob, a young New York socialite who became exasperated with the antiquated corsets, the stasis, after finding it impossible to prevent those steel rods from poking out from under her evening gown. Determined to create a more comfortable, less cumbersome alternative, with the help of her maid, she took 2 silk handkerchiefs and sewed them together using pink ribbon and cord. The resulting undergarment was more natural to the wearer's anatomy, lighter, and more form-fitting. She invented the bra. Soon, requests poured in from family, friends, and even strangers, all of whom wanted to purchase this new accessory. Not accessory, necessity. So innovation meets stasis, following that punctuated equilibrium, and we have the bra. And thank goodness. Housewife and mother of 2, Marian Donovan, was frustrated with the thankless task and repetitive task of changing her youngest child's soiled clothing, diapers, and sheets. The rubber baby pants on the market caused diaper rashes and pinched her child's skin. That was the stasis. So she sat down at her sewing machine with a shower curtain. And after several attempts, she completed a waterproof diaper cover that did not cause diaper rash or pinch. She then perfected her invention by adding snaps to replace the dangerous safety pins that were used at the time. And in the future, she evolved this even further to a fully disposable diaper that was eventually used to create the company Pampers. For centuries, every time a baby went to the bathroom, clothing, sheets, and diapers had to be laundered, and laundry was not any easier back then. Marion Donovan's diaper made a contribution to evolution by getting fed up with a crappy situation and making it better. Again, innovation meets stasis, and following punctuated equilibrium, we have the diaper. Debbie Sterling was a Stanford engineering student, noticed her classes were predominantly male and indicative of a large gender gap and very high male to female ratio. While she was at Stanford, the percentage of engineering students in the country was only 11%. That was the stasis. After research, Sterling found that girls began to lose interest in math and science as young as age 8. So she set out to create a solution and knew that a pink construction toy wasn't enough. She determined after some research that the best way to influence girls was to pair a construction kit with a storybook because girls were interested in story. They like plot. Sterling launched Goldilocks, an interactive toy company for girls in 2012, and went from a prototype on Kickstarter to more than $1 million of pre-orders placed in under a month. In less than 2 years, Goldilocks made its way to more than 6,000 retailers worldwide. Innovation meets stasis, following punctuated equilibrium, and she began to rebrand engineering for girls. Now, Debbie Sterling and Goldilocks has been an inspiration for me, so much so that on New Year's Day a couple of years ago, a good friend of mine, Rebecca Campbell, and I sat down and discussed that we were in a place in our careers that we wanted to start giving back. And we wanted to do something for women and girls interested in STEM, that's science, technology, engineering, and math. We looked at the data of high school seniors in this local area, and this is an exit interview from high school seniors. And if you look at the red lines on the right-hand side, those are the girls that were interested in IT and STEM. It was extremely anemic. So we wondered, what could we do about it? We looked around the valley for an organization that we could join to start helping and realized that no such organization existed. That was our We Can Do Better moment. Using the tools available to us, our networks, the courage and desire to create something that could connect the women who were in tech, elevate them, and advocate for more women and girls in tech and STEM, we created a new organization called Women Innovators. In the course of 2 years, we've already impacted the trajectory of over 200 girls' lives. We had an event in May called She Tech for high school girls, and we had feedback from a mother after the event. And I'm just going to read what she wrote. My daughter, who as a teenager is a tough critic, liked the content but loved the opportunity to learn from other women in tech. She had no idea that many women and girls are interested in STEM. Most importantly, she requested to meet with her career counselor at school to be placed back in the advanced math and science courses for next year. She did great in these classes as a freshman, but requested to transfer out as a sophomore. So we were pretty excited to read that after our first big event. And this is just the beginning. It certainly helped me to understand the impact that my actions can have on others and also the impact of innovation. Women Innovators like Debbie Sterling is also rebranding STEM. We want to make Idaho the place for girl and women innovators to succeed. We'd love for you to get involved. I put our website up here, so we're always looking for sponsors for some of these great events. Send your daughters to these events. Our next event is Tech Girls, and it's for middle school and junior high school girls on November 7th at Jump. And it's sold out, but there's a ton of interest, and it's really exciting. We're still looking for volunteers and sponsors. Getting women interested in innovation is important for a number of reasons. But if you think about it, everything is evolving because of technology. We just talked about technology in the previous talk. Every single person here has a pretty powerful computer in their pocket or purse, aka a smartphone. And we're using this technology. We need to be a part of creating it. We branded our organization Women Innovators because it's not just about science, technology, engineering, and math. It's about that disrupting stasis for evolution and making the world a better place. And that might come from an engineer, but it could also come from a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher. In fact, every single person here is capable of disrupting stasis and being an innovator. It starts with the recognition that something can be better, that observation. This gets back to challenging wisdom, our own wisdom, conventional wisdom, societal norms. Whether a product invention or reinventing ourselves, we need to be open to other ideas, even if they challenge our upbringing or our beliefs. That observation, noticing that perhaps something could be done in a different way to disrupt stasis, then with the tools, courage, and perseverance, these are the ingredients for innovation. Good news is, today is easier to innovate than ever before. With Kickstarter, you can fund your idea in less than a day. With WordPress, you can create a website in minutes. With a 3D printer, you can create complex prototypes by sending a single design file. With self-publishing platforms, your book is available to sell in minutes or hours. With ClickFunnels, you can build an entire online store and marketing campaign with a few button clicks. With Udemy online learning platform, you can learn almost anything online instantly. It's pretty amazing. Women are natural innovators. We like to help people. We communicate ideas. We are creative. We make things better. So with that in mind, I ask you this. What wisdom needs to be challenged in your life? What problem has not been solved? Where are the crappy situations in your daily routine? What innovation is waiting for you to come along and nurture it? Don't wait for someone else to do it. It's our time to get started. Not only does fear not have a place in our decision-making process, but it's not allowed to prevent us from getting started. What would you do if you weren't afraid? It's our time to do it. I personally plan to take my daughters back to Yellowstone and show them that bears are more afraid of us than we are of them. We did see a bear, actually a couple bears, on our trip, by the way, and it ran the other direction. And with all of us challenging, innovating, conquering our fears, and enabling and supporting others, you know what? It's our time. And stasis is the one with fear now. Thank you.